Blata Haile Maryam Reda. Haile Maryam Reda was born on July 5, 1909 in Dandara, about 17 kilometers southeast of Mekelle, in the former Inderta Araja. Haile Maryam's father, Reda Gebru, came from a peasant family even though Gebru Aska, his grandfather, served as Chikashum, or village chief, of Dandara. Reda was a peasant until he started to give service to Kasamircha, later Emperor Johannes IV of Ethiopia. Reda, although from a peasant background, grew to be a member of the ruling circles of Emperor Johannes. As a reward for his service, Reda received the title Grazmak and served as administrator in eastern Tigray. After the death of the emperor at the Battle of Matama in 1889, in which he also participated, Reda continued to serve Ras Mengesha Johannes, nephew and heir of the emperor. He took on different administrative posts, ranging from provincial to district level in different areas of Tigray, until his death in late 1935. Haile Maryam's mother, Bizrat Weldi, was the daughter of Dejat Weldi, who belonged to the Mekwanant, or nobility of Tigray, and claimed descent from Sabagadis, chief of Agame warlords in the 19th century. Bizrat was a woman of strong and calm character, cheerful and affable. Like her husband, she was a devoted Orthodox Christian, and often read the Psalms of David. Razmak Reda's family had 8 children, 4 daughters and 4 sons. They were Dinkinesh, Amsalu, Fitsum Virhan, Nijisti, Mega, Durential, Zagaya, and Haile Maryam was the last born. September 1935 to 1941, Haile Maryam, during the Italian occupation. From their colony in the Mare of Melish, the Italians were able to swiftly occupy Tigray in 1935. Blata Haile Maryam accused Haile Silas for his failure to assist the Tigrayans in their heroic resistance against the aggressors. According to him, from September 1935 to April 1936, there was fierce resistance against the Italians in Tigray. During these 8 months of resistance, Haile Maryam accused Haile Silas's government for its failure to assist the anti-colonial resistance in Tigray. To quote his words, "For 8 months, we, the Tigray people, had fought the Italians alone without any assistance and leadership from the Haile Silas's government. The government being stationed in Amba Aradam, Maichu and Korem was a mere observer to the cause. Haile Maryam and the Wayan Rebellion." The Wayan Rebellion was undoubtedly one of the most important events in the history of Ethiopia in the few years after the restoration of independence from Italian occupation. This was owed to the fact that it was the first peasant uprising in the period and had a wider effect on the peasant uprisings to be seen in different parts of the country. Moreover, it made a far-reaching socio-economic, psychological, and political impact not only on Tigray but also throughout the entire country. The uprising was organized by the Tigray people at a time when the popular belief was Negus Ikesis Seme Ikermas, literally meaning the king couldn't be prosecuted and the sky couldn't be tilled. The basic causes for the uprising are found in the diverse nature and motives of its participants. The peasants, the major dissenters, were exempted from paying tax, except for the asrat or tithe, during the Italian occupation period from 1936 to 1941. But soon after the restoration of independence, Haile Selassie's government issued a new land decree which forced the peasants to pay tax in cash, effectively ending the tributary system that existed for millennia. To worsen things, the peasants were also required to pay up taxes from the Italian period. On top of this, the implementation of the new land decree of 1942 had manifold flaws and problems. 1. The officials implementing it were not only corrupt, but were also intimidating the peasants. 2. The tax failed to take into consideration the condition and paying capacity of the peasants. 3. The peasants were forced to feed and quarter the Gibir Sebsabiwak and Temana. 4. Frequently, the government stationed militias in the rural areas until tax was collected, and the militia were completely dependent on the peasants. The militia stationed in the areas where this uprising erupted were ill-disciplined, aggressive, and low-paid. They were known for theft, rape, intimidation, and more. The officials sent by the central government were corrupt and inflicted traumatic damages on the peasants in these areas. Consequently, the peasants would say that the emperor sent us hyenas. The majority of the Tigray nobility was disappointed by the centralization policy of Emperor Haile Selassie, which challenged their autonomous position, including their customary rights over tributes and the free service of the peasants. The centralization policy forced the nobility to make their living from the salary paid to them by the government. The nobility were made inderace of the emperor, and lost their autonomous status. Thus, the nobility wanted to repulse their autonomous status if they could. The peoples of Gujarat and Raya Azibo had the wish to preserve their communal, internal autonomy. Thus, they opposed governmental intervention and focused on destroying these. Banditry was another cause for the uprising. Bandits like Blata Haile Maryam, as we will see later, were instrumental in organizing the peasants for the uprising. But at the same time, they were a cause of banditry, as they aggravated the poor conditions of the peasants. The most common problems were the activity of the Shifta and the lack of governance for establishing order. The Shifta attacked villages, stealing food and livestock. The peasants had to defend themselves with no help from the central government. Therefore, from June to October 1943, a group of dissent nobilities and bandits who had their own grievances with the government were able to take advantage of the rebellious conditions of the pastoral and farming communities of the Raya, Azibo, and Gujarat. Under the leadership of Blata Haile Maryam and other prominent figures, the dissents had instigated the peasants of Inderta, Tembin, Halit al-Lalo, and Raya Azibo to revolt against the government of Emperor Haile Selassie. But we should bear in mind that the peasants of Addua, Agame, Aksum, and Shire were not involved in the conflict. Some chiefs from the mentioned areas were even fighting the dissents and siding with the central government. Given the fact that Mekelle was under control of the rebels, and considering the defeat of the nobilities supporting the central government by the rebels, it is difficult to say that the central government had a strong hold on the provinces not involved in the uprising. Nonetheless, communication barriers, lack of strong leadership to lead the entire Tigray region, and lack of experience prevented many from involvement in the uprising. But there are some indications that the remaining provinces eventually joined the uprising in the course of time. The origin of the rebellion was the Gujarat uprising of May 1943. The Gujarat people had refused the newly appointed government representative. This most powerful and popular rebellion against the oppressive and killer Haile Selassie's government was also known as the First Woyani Movement and was destroyed by the British Air Force. For this reason, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church and the king committed very horrifying genocide and crimes against humanity by collaborating with the British Royal Air Force. This movement was the cause for the most powerful movement of the Second Woyani movement against the oppressive Ethiopian government and created a Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. But the Ethiopian government committed a genocide on Tigray in 2021. Blata Haile Maryam is the emblem and symbol of the anti-oppressive governments of Ethiopia and the First and Second Woyani movements of Tigray. Come and visit the Great Tigray, the mother of Aksum, the capital city of Hamite Africans, who leads the world from injustice to justice. Tigray is the home of all Hamite Africans. We will bring all Africans under one umbrella in the holy city of Aksum, the home of tigers like Abba Mebrek. Tigray is a country of heroes.